So, I've been researching a little bit, and I thought about making an episode about Doggerland. So, the real question right now is, what is Doggerland? Doggerland was a landmass that used to connect United Kingdom and other European countries together. And it was called Doggerland due to because of the Dogger Bank where they found all these archaeological evidence from. As you can see here, I've tried my best to draw out Doggerland here, and you can see here there's a bunch of rivers all going through it, and this is exactly what it was depicted as. Many of these rivers were as big as the Rhine River, and they would connect with the Norwegian. Some would connect to the Norwegian Trench, and a lot of these lands that were in Doggerland were big, flat grasslands, and they would be home of many mammoths, tigers, and even, of course, humans would be in there, and possibly maybe floated down a couple of these rivers. It's very interesting to understand the significance of this archaeological evidence of this landmass. Now, I've explained that archaeologists studied the Doggerland, but who really, well, found Doggerland? These were the 1700 fishermen. Yeah, it wasn't particularly a big name person or anything. Most archaeological evidence are founded by random people or even farmers. This time it was founded by varieties of fishermen in the 1700s that would find these archaeological evidence for Doggerland. As you can see here, it was more likely like this, where they would find a mammoth skull somewheres in the waves and would bring it up, and we'd be like, "Hey, how did I get this random mammoth skull? Where did this come from?" And you can see sometimes they would, of course, throw it back out because they didn't know what it was. Again, there wasn't much interest into finding or discovering why there was mammoth bones or primitive tools in the water. These mammoth skulls would help later in the 1930s or the late 20th century to intensify studying more about Doggerland and learning more about it. Now, the departure probably is not that accurate, but you will get the point that they went from the seas of the United Kingdom, and of course, the Dutch as well would continue studying around this area too, and they would go to Dogger Bank finding varieties of different things. They would once again find mammoth skulls, but also they would find other things like their rib cage and different other parts of their bodies. They would find the prehistoric lions around there as well. And of course, they would find things that were used by prehistoric humans, like tools and antlers that we use to probably make farms and so on. So a really good question is what happened to Doggerland? Why is it still not here? When did it turn into what is now modern day Europe? One is at the end of the Ice Age, water started to rise because of the melting ice, and the land started to tilt into a isostatic adjustment. The land was later submerged and cutting it off from the British Peninsula, and this process took quite a long time, but during its time being submerged, it would soon form what we know as today as modern day Europe. So now you understand what is Doggerland and why it is such an interesting thing. You can find many different videos online that make alternative histories if it's still kept on, and of course, more things about the archaeological discoveries of Doggerland.